Hey, everybody. Welcome to Plymouth, Massachusetts, or should I say Massachusetts? Good to have you along. Michael Bryant here. Big, wide open area here to have something happening in court. Wonder what it is.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
The world is justice. Will we ever find
The
justice?
courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing
Will
"Oh
we
Happy
know
Day."
justice when we see it? To be and Damila lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. It's Nary Clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
All right, if you've never been to lovely Plymouth, Massachusetts, good time to be here. I've actually arranged with my heavy production schedule to be in Salem, Massachusetts during Halloween, and now in Plymouth, Massachusetts for Thanksgiving week. Almost like I had that planned. Here was the deal, okay? This is where the Karen Reed civil case is docketed, not the new one that's been filed. That's in Bristol, Connecticut, down the road. This is the one in Plymouth, filed by the estate of Officer John O'Keefe, his brother Paul, and the parents, the wrongful death case, which has now been answered by the defendants. The defendants, of course, Karen Reed and the two watering holes, the Waterfall Bar and Grill, and also McCarthy's. So those folks are all officially in the lawsuit. The other one filed in Bristol has just been filed, as we know. We've gone over that. And man, that's going to be very interesting. This could be the Full Employment for Attorneys Act, because by the time you get everybody that's already involved in the civil case here with the one that's now filed in Bristol, even if they're consolidated, there will be no parking for anybody else. It's all going to be attorneys. And this is a pretty nice parking lot. It's massive. It's great. So today is really just a status conference. And I thought when they had the last one, which is where we first heard about the plan to bring in all of the I'll call them cross defendants, counter defendants, third party claims, we didn't know how that was going to manifest itself. Well, now we know. They brought a separate action to do that, to bring in the McAlberts and Brian Higgins. And so we weren't sure where's that going to be venued. What's the deal there? They talked about having this hearing today virtually. They talked about it. And so I've been checking the docket. And I said, look, I don't even care. I looked as late as last night. Nothing on the docket suggesting it was definitely going to be a virtual hearing. I said, let's go anyway. Give us a chance to check out the lay of the land, give you guys a little tour after I'm done here. And we're just going to chat for a bit as we wait for the hearing to begin, which is scheduled for 2 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll carry it for you on the Zoom, as they call it. I'll go and wander around. I'm going to go. I've complained before about Plymouth Rock. I've been there, but I just want to show you. I'll do a little walking tour of the downtown Plymouth area, and we'll look at the Rock. So anyway, I decided let's just go. I mean, first of all, I don't trust the government. You may have caught on to that from my various legal background and my practice. I'm constantly fighting the government because I don't trust the damn thing they do. So the fact that there was nothing on the docket saying it was going to be Zoom, and the fact that there are, take a guess, how many attorneys are now in this case? Not the new one filed in Bristol, the case now filed in Plymouth County. And if you got the docket open, knock yourself out and cheat. But I don't know if you'll believe how many. Anybody want to throw a guess out there? I'm looking now. I'm looking. Anybody want to guess? I will tell you it's more than 10. More than 10. Let's see. Any other guesses? Anything on here? 20. Okay, so let me bring this up here. Scooter. I got nothing for you, Scooter, but you're pretty darn close. As of the day before yesterday, the 19th attorney filed an appearance in this case, and that is Alexandra Beaton. She is representing McCarthy's Bar. The more the merrier. Obviously, Karen Reed has a number of attorneys. She just had some came in, some left. But again, this doesn't count the new lawsuit filed in Bristol County. And remember, there's going to be a big discussion about consolidating that case with this one, if for no other reason but judicial economy. And this is, I'm voting, if they're asking me, I'm voting for Plymouth County. This is perfect for Starlink, has a wide open sky. The parking lot is massive. You might notice the building itself doesn't exactly look Pilgrimish or Plymouth Rockian. It's a modern, very large courthouse. Interestingly, right across the street, let me see if I can swing this over here maybe. That is the Registry of Deeds. Again, a much newer facility than the one we see in Dedham. But interestingly, in Massachusetts government, they decide they bury these buildings next to one another because there's such a cross-pollination of the documents, if nothing else. So here in this particular courthouse, up on the third floor, in the judge's chambers, should I go up and just knock? Judge, excuse me, I thought this was a public hearing. Because sometimes they'll have a Zoom where the court is still open. And so I thought, well, maybe that'll be the case. No, not today for that either. It's the judge is squirreled away in his chambers. I don't know which judge we're going to see. Remember, this was handed off from Judge, what was his name? Sean O'Shea, Judge O'Shea, to another judge, which may bode well for consolidating everything here now that they've put a judge in charge, because O'Shea apparently was retiring. Like, he just thought of that. They had hearings. They had this thing all set up, and he's like, oh, God, I forgot I'm retiring. Forgot. So now they're having a new judge take over. That may help swing things in this county's favor when any effort to consolidate the Bristol case with the Plymouth case comes up. And I do believe that's in the offing. I think that is what's going to happen. So we'll wait for the Zoom. Missy is manhandling that. And I don't mean that in a sexist way. So here's the order. This is the order, right? This is what you would normally get. It says, okay, it's going to be virtual. This is filed on the 19th, day before yesterday, but not put on the docket electronically. So I really think I was kind of looking for a reason to come up here. That and my distrust of the government. Because I figured, okay, maybe it's on Zoom. Maybe the public can get into the courthouse. Anyway, great opportunity to check out the area, get used to what's going to be a very interesting trial, or combined trials when they do play out over time. And I can't wait to see Plymouth Rock yet again. So on my way here today, anybody been pulled over by cops anytime recently? Anyone? Raise your hand. There's just, you just know when a cop pulls in behind you. Seagulls. Cover my head. Oh, no, those are geese. And the geese own this parking lot. That is frightening. There's got to be 20 of those geese over there, and they're the size of a dog. Anyway, when the cop car pulls in behind you, in this case, Massachusetts, the state police, and then they're just behind you for a while, kind of pacing you, and I was definitely not speeding. So he lights me up. I pull over. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I was brandishing a weapon. Nope, kidding, just kidding. It's a newer vehicle. There was a screw up at the DMV. Nobody's ever said that before. There was a screw up at the DMV, and they didn't get the plates to me. I've had the vehicle, I think, like 4 months now. Normally in the first couple of months, you're going to get that. Bought the car in New York, registered in Connecticut, and now I'm in Massachusetts. So, I look like I'm some sort of felon on the lam. Anyway, the dealer paper tag that they always put on the back of a new vehicle before you get the real plates, well, it's behind kind of the rear tailgate thing. It's a Bronco, so it's like a baby SUV. It's a tinted glass, and so you can't even, if you're behind me, you can't even see the temporary dealer paper plate. So the cop's thinking, I don't know what the hell he's thinking. So he pulls me over. Nice enough guy. First thing he tells me is, okay, we're recording this, and he had his nice shiny body cam on. That's great. I think it's a great idea, because I said, okay, great. What do you need? He said, are you just moving this car? Because I don't see any, dealer paper plate. I said, yeah, it's behind this tinted glass, so you can't see it. I told him the absolute truth. They screwed up at the DMV. I'm sure, again, something he's never heard. And the plates just got to me. That was a little bit of a fudge. I've probably had them a week. it's not high on my list to put the plates on the vehicle. I got them in the glove box, handed them over. Just a moment. Takes my ID, goes back to the car, and has a donut. I don't know. Not much to do. Checks out. I'm not making things up. Comes back and says, hey, here you go. Have a nice day. Be careful. I start thinking, I don't know about you guys, but once you're in the true crime world online, you start getting fed all kinds of traffic stop video. Maybe it's just me, because I've covered Sean Paul Reyes in Long Island Audit and covered his trials and cases and his exploits. But I get these all the time. So now when I'm pulled over, I'm starting to think, what are some of these people doing? A lot of people do these videos just to antagonize. They may be well within their rights. I could have told this cop, no, I'm not going to give you my ID because what have I done? What suspicious activity? I could have played that game. I think it's actually kind of dumb, but I know a lot of folks who do that just to create that conflict and put themselves in a position where somebody might, get arrested, and then they can show you that video and get some clicks off of it. Anyway, this guy was super nice, did his job, threw me out on the road. I'm sure if he checked the registration, he would see that it's been 4+ months since purchased. And I don't care what your story is, that's kind of a long time not to have the plates on. And in fact, it's probably been a couple of weeks since I got them. Just haven't had a chance to put them on. Anyway, so that was my adventure coming here. Otherwise, a lovely drive. And I look forward to coming here for many, many years, because that's how long it's going to take for this case to actually play out over the course of. If anything happens in this case, other than settlement, before 2027, I'd be shocked. The discovery in this beast, oh my gosh, that's one of the things I want to find out from the various attorneys. You got your hit list of depositions, right? And depositions are usually, in a quote normal case, which this is not, normally the second wave of discovery after written questions and answers. So who's your number one? Who would you depose first? If you were deposing the cast of characters in this case, and make sure you understand the difference when you take a deposition of deposing a party versus just a precipient witness. Colin Albert has not been sued, so he's a witness perhaps, but not a party. So there are certain rules, different rules, and it's a little trickier to get a handle on an independent witness versus a party. A party, you're obligated. If somebody wants to depose you and you're a party, you're in. It's happening. Okay, who do we want first? Jen McCabe. That's, for me, hands down. You probably thinking Proctor. No, I don't think so. I want to know from her perspective what happened that night. I want to hear the real story. Not going to hear the real story, but there's going to be so much prior testimony to which you can compare what she said. Yeah, I see Jen McCabe gets a couple of votes, Proctor getting some votes. Yeah, obviously that's a 1-2 combo that I would want to miss. We'll find out as this thing unfolds whether they're going to be videotaped. I think it'd be foolish not to. And if so, is there going to be a seal on them? Are they going to be available? Usually you can purchase them, but it's not always the case. It depends on the parties, depends on the court. They could request that these underlying discovery matters be sealed. So, but I think we all know it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Okay, so what's happening today is probably not a heck of a lot, which is primarily why they put it on Zoom. I don't disagree with it. I think it's talk about judicial economy. Is Alan Jackson going to fly out here from L.A. Just to chat? What I do think will be interesting is to see if they bring up the Bristol lawsuit, now filed, not answered. An answer is the official response of those that have been sued. And we know it's all the McAlberts and Brian Higgins. Why is Brian Higgins always alone, off, twisting on his own? First Karen Reed, and now the lawsuit. So I want to see him bring that up and kind of lay the groundwork for whatever they plan to do in terms of consolidation. Are they going to consolidate? Are they not? I think they want to. I think it makes sense to. But are they going to lobby, they being the parties? If it comes down to, if the court says yes, we need to consolidate. It's just too much manpower, all of the things that we're trying to preserve. Let's limit the expenses and the logistics and the practical problems. Who's going to want to be where and why? If it's my vote, I say right here. If for no other reason than the parking lot and the massive open skies. And it is a pretty cool courthouse for a modern courthouse. I do like Dedham. Can't beat it for the history. Sacco and Vanzetti and all of that. But I don't want to. I went through that zoo, and we know Brian Walsh case is starting on December 1st. They do have a jury. They seated the jury yesterday. 16 lucky people, 12 plus 4 alternates. Oh, here's as an aside. Here's how weird Massachusetts is. I know, hard to believe. They don't call the 4 alternates. They call them 2 alternates and 2 standby. What all you're saying is the first 2 alternates would be used first, and then after that you go to the next one. Just say you have 4 alternates. Why make it so weird? Anyway, so they do have a jury, and they will get underway on the 1st of December unless something interesting happens between now and then. We know that there was a plea deal, not much of a deal, actually. Brian Walsh pleading guilty to the 2 lesser charges of obstructing or misleading, I think law enforcement is how they phrase it, and the other one was strangely titled undetermined, or you would think of it as taking a body out of the ground, like somebody's buried somebody, they've interred somebody, and then you're disinterred, instead of what it really is, which is dismembering and or getting rid of body parts, but they don't call it that. And he's pled guilty to those things. So that means the evidence that comes in at trial should be focused primarily on the number 1 charge, which is the first-degree murder. And I think there's going to be battle after battle after battle about what evidence is appropriate under only that charge that remains and what evidence is irrelevant. So, and Linda and I had a game the other night where we were just she was tossing me some pieces of evidence, the searches primarily, and saying, is this going to come in? Is this not? Some, to me, were an easy call. Others were tough. My belief is, because the judge, Diane Frenary, because she was so, I think, helpful in getting a lot of that evidence to come in the first place. Remember, there were the motions brought to basically kill all of the searches that were not part of the allowed searches of those electronic devices, right? That they were. How's it going? Good. You guys got some action in there today? No? You? Anyway, so what was the consent? Was it broad enough to cover a lot of the searches that turned up in the law enforcement investigation? And it easily could have been argued that no, they were well beyond that scope. But as we predicted, the court found a way to bring that stuff in, to find that either it was inevitably going to be discovered or that it wasn't truly outside the scope of the search. So all that stuff came in. What that told me about Judge Frenary is that she's more liberal about what comes into this case, because I guarantee you, if there is a conviction on the top charge, those will be appellate issues. The issue about what part of the searches should or should not have come in, what part of the searches were or were not part of the consent given, and that's going to be top of the appellate list. Well, she may just be feeling like, I feel decent about it. Let's move forward with this case. I think that same philosophy might apply when it comes to these pieces of evidence that are arguably irrelevant now that there's only 1 charge left. And each one of those bits and pieces of evidence is going to be a nugget for appeal if it doesn't go the way that the defense wants. And of course, if there is a conviction, the plea deal doesn't really allow you to appeal your plea. Okay, once that's been entered and accepted, absent some very bizarre circumstances, that's a done deal. You've given up your appellate rights. So that is happening back in Dedham. That's a long way of me getting back to Dedham. We know that courthouse. I think they're going to be using the bigger courtroom, I believe. That's subject to change, of course. I don't even know if they need the biggest one. We'll see what the turnout is. The judge is anticipating, maybe having to audibilize a little bit and move things around if necessary. But I do know, with Aidan Carney's hearing on the 5th, that is the following Friday after the Walsh case begins, they're either going to have no court for Brian Walsh that day, or they're going to have just the morning. And then Aidan Carney's hearing is at 2:00 in the afternoon. This is, of course, the mega motion. I know that I'm straying a bit from what's going on here in this courthouse, but let's face it, I'm in Massachusetts, so it all kind of works together. They acknowledge that there's going to be a big turnout for the Aidan Carney hearing at 2:00, and they don't want to, they don't want to mess with it. They don't want it to be a distraction for the Brian Walsh jury or the players, that they're just trying to get his trial through the system. What'll be interesting is if they have a decent turnout, and by they I mean whichever side you're promoting. And it's almost like you have a changing of the guard. You're going to have Brian Walsh supporters there in the morning, and then it'd be like, okay, we're punching out. It's lunchtime. We're out of here. And then in come the Aiden Carney supporters, which will be, I imagine, pretty large in number. So, and yeah, we'll be there. And I'm pretty sure they won't be Zooming that one. As of this morning, I checked the docket again. Of course, we don't trust the government, but there wasn't anything on the docket this morning suggesting that Robert Cosgrove, Special Prosecutor Cosgrove, had filed any papers in response to the motion that's going to be heard on that Friday, December 5th. I don't know what's going on, man. Anybody have any good guesses? Anybody got some intel? Anybody check this out? I didn't get a chance to look at the bus stop live this morning. Maybe Aiden had an update. If anybody heard anything about that, I have not heard a word. It just seems weird to me that there'd be no contact with the Commonwealth reaching out to Betterow. It blows my mind. I think Linda and I were talking about this last night. It helps Betterow. It helps the defense to let the prosecution just languish, right? Because every day that happens without response, you get further prejudiced, and that argument becomes stronger. Can you really go forward with short notice to prepare for the responses to the response? I don't think there's a reply that's being asked for. I think you do have to request that in Massachusetts. Normally you'd have the moving papers, responsive papers, and sometimes reply. In California, you get to reply, period. You don't have to get any special anything. So in this particular case, I don't think there's a reply brief, but if you're prepping for that hearing on the 5th, and Mark Betterow told us this the other night when he was on, you kind of need it. He was on the day after the paperwork was due. That was on Tuesday of this week. Well, now we're a full week, and I've seen nothing. And it just puts the defense in a much stronger position, because it looks like, not surprisingly, they don't know what the hell they're doing in Norfolk County. And I can only blame Michael Morrissey, because he's the ultimate boss. If some of his stooges aren't doing their job, it's still on him. And I've heard nothing from his office. I'm not sure if Mr. Betterow has or not. He hasn't shared that with me. But I would imagine at some point between now and the holiday, because next week will be a 3-day week. Wednesday will be a short day. Not a lot's going to be taking place. Something has to be done administratively. Somebody has to say that it's been moved because of extraordinary circumstances, so it won't be on the 5th anymore. It'll be January 12th. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at anything in terms of moving the 12/5 date. I wouldn't be. It does, again, give more firepower to the defense to suggest they've been prejudiced. I think a terminating sanction here, you know how sanctions work. You got money, you got evidentiary sanctions where something you might be relying on is not allowed because you played wrong by the rules, violated Rule 14 in Massachusetts. Or, all right then, there are people in the parking lot saying free Karen Reed. It's a civil case, folks. She's not in jail. Anyway, where was I? I can't remember now. Anyway, brother. So what we're going to hear today is probably a lot of scheduling issues. Remember the last judge, O'Shea, he was talking about, well, I can put this on the trial calendar for the spring of 26. Oh, yeah, right. That is not happening. But I know that if I'm representing any of the parties in the new case filed in Bristol, I want that out there as soon as possible. I want the folks to start talking about it. I want the court to be aware that it's in the works. That was why it was brought up last time by Damon Seligson when Judge O'Shea was doing his best to cram this thing into settlement as early as he possibly could. But the court's being advised, and also the world is being advised that, hey, we're going to bring in these third-party actors. How we do it, don't worry about it. They're going to be involved. And now that the case has been filed against them in Bristol, the court's aware of it, and the court is going to have to deal with it one way or the other. And the court could do a number of things. The court could say, no, we're good here. Our case here will remain here, and Bristol, they're on their own to do whatever they want. I don't really think that's likely. I think it's far more likely that the courts are going to get together. I have not been to the Bristol court, so anybody who's been there can shed some light on what they have, what their facilities are. Quite often, something is moved or consolidated one way or the other because of what they can do. This is a big operation here. You can just tell from the facility and from the grounds. They've got some juice here. They've got people, very nice people inside as well, working with security and in the records department, went snooping around a little bit. I know I would be shocked if it did not end up here. And they're also first in line, if you want to look at it that way. The first case was filed here. So I think that's likely what's going to happen. But today will give us, I think, some insight into that. I know that, hold on, check my note here. I had a note on something. Oh, there it goes. I know that that when they originally set this thing for a hearing, that they had it in one of the bigger courtrooms. But again, since they've got a new judge now involved, I think it's all bets are off. They're going to just go wherever they feel is appropriate. Again, today, if you're just joining, I'm here just touring the Northeast for various holidays. Plymouth Rock makes sense to be here for Thanksgiving, so that's why I'm here. I was in Salem, Massachusetts for Halloween. The matter today is virtual, which makes perfect sense because they're not going to drag people here from LA. Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Guy picked up my paper for me. If you guys want to get in on the Zoom, we're going to have the Zoom for you. We're going to have the Zoom. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Let me go to. Yes, that's me. I'm on the holiday tour here in the Northeast. I figured, why not? How many opportunities am I going to have to do this? And each of these little towns. I mean, if you've never done a tour of New England, it's charming. It really is. I think the Rock, which I apologize. I've definitely badmouthed Plymouth Rock. It's just so disappointing. And I'm not even sure. Again, I'm cynical. I don't trust the government, whoever set up the Rock. And we'll look at it. I'll put that together. Maybe I'll save it. I'll put it together, and then we'll look at it on Thanksgiving Day or even Thanksgiving Eve. I'll just launch it. But I look at it, and I start thinking, you remember it was 1620? That's one of the things I remember from grade school. I mean, how likely is it that that's really the Rock? Okay? Is that really the Rock? Is it a symbolic rock? Is it, I don't know. But I'm telling you, kids flock there this time of year. It's the perfect field trip. And I expect there will be lots of kids there now. I think they do a parade along the main street there, right by the Rock. All hail the Rock. And it's, as I recall, it's in this big, there's like I don't want to say a tomb, but if you look at like the Lincoln Memorial, where it has sort of big pillars around the Lincoln statue, he's sitting on the throne there. It has a similar feel, as I recall. So big pillared structure, and this little pebble down below street level on the sand. So the water is right there. I guess it's possible that that it's truly the Plymouth Rock. If I remember right, it actually has on the rock. It has like the date, like big numerals, 1620. What are the odds that the rock that they hit and landed upon had the date already on it? Oh, Donnie, not Wahlberg, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. I should get what would I get here? Get some chowder. I could get some chowder, maybe lobster roll, maybe lobster fingers, something like that. When I came up here today, this is a different route than you would take to go to Dedham, because you basically go to Providence, Rhode Island, and then you turn right, head toward the water. But you go through a bunch of these different little towns. I went right by Fall River. Everybody remember the significance of Fall River? Mm-hmm. Where Karen Reed apparently is from and was an issue with John Proctor. Didn't like her accent. Has Fall River accent. Yeah, John Proctor, you speak the Queen's English. So I went by that. There was another town that I I play a little game usually with Linda. Try to pronounce one of the words for the towns they use here, and like Worcester. Everybody knows Worcester. You read it, it looks like Worcester, pronounced Worcester. One of my favorites is Peabody, Peabody. And then I went by one. I think it's called. Is it called Woonsocket? That's definitely not the way it's pronounced. I'm sure Woonsocket. If anybody's is familiar with Woonsocket, yeah, let me know how you pronounce that. I don't think it's Woonsocket, but I think that is the name of the town. Oh, I'm here. Karen Reed is from Dighton. Oh, but she has a Fall River accent. Wasn't that what Proctor said? He was one of the many nasty things he said about her was a Fall River accent. Woonsocket, Rhode Island. That's it, Woonsocket. Thank you, Mystery Maven. Is that how you actually pronounce it? Woonsocket? Because something weird about the Northeast here where you take, I'm seeing Woonsocket. Yeah, it looks like it actually is pronounced kind of like it sounds. Hey, Mid-Air Beach Caregiver, I just noticed that come by. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Let's see. Let's say, happy hour. Let me just read them. Yes, happy hour. Happy hour. Yeah, where's my Joey Kane when I need him? Yeah, I have not seen Joey. Joey okay? Is he all right? Everybody know that Joey's all right? Let's see. Procta. That's the other comment about Procta. Okay. This is true. And I've been to Ireland. Michael, you should see some of the names of the towns in Ireland. Americans have terrible trouble pronouncing. Yeah, it's our fault. It's our fault. I know. I'm sorry. I've been over there, and I'm trying to think of any of them that were weird. I've been to Cork, and I've been to Limerick, and I've been obviously to Dublin. I went to Skellig Island. How about that? Am I mispronouncing Skellig Island? If you ever have a chance to go to Ireland, and generally, unless you got a ton of time, you kind of have to either go to the north or go to the south. I haven't been to the north yet, been to the south. On the extreme south, there is an island called Skellig Island, Skelleg, I think it is. This is an amazing looking island. If you look at it when you get out to sea, I think it's about 25 miles out. Just super craggy peaks and sheer cliffs. And its claim to fame was that there were monks back there in 600 AD, and they lived out there full time in these stone huts, and the stone huts are still there. Now, that to me is cool enough. And you can only get on this island, obviously, by boat, but only about 40% of the time can the boats even dock and let you on the island because the water is so rough that, you're going out there with a crapshoot as to whether you do anything more than just circle the island. But we got lucky when we went and got to go on the island. You can hike to the top to where those monks' stone cottages are. That it's amazing history. So to that, add the fact that they did some of the Star Wars movies there. I'm trying to remember which one. I love the Star Wars stuff. I'm not a fanatic about dates, times, and which one it was in. But it's the one where at the end of the film, Luke Skywalker, who had been kind of disappeared, so I think it's maybe the third one, we see him standing like on this craggy, foggy outcropping. That's Skellig Island. So they were shooting on that island for quite a bit, again, during whichever movie that was, the third one. That's not the reason I went. Just a little bonus, but I know a lot of people go there now because of that. But it's very cool. So Skellig, that wasn't too tricky. I don't know. What are some of these Irish words that I'm missing and would be mispronouncing, I'm sure. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, let me see. Kilmacanouge. How's that? Kilmacanouge. Come on, this got to be close. Kilmacanouge. I'm going with that. I went to the monk monastery in Denmark. They turned it into a restaurant. Best duck I've ever had. Those monks, they know how to make their duck. This Skellig Island, it has remained intact as what it was. And let's just say that you go there. I mean, they don't have cable. All right. You're going there and you are getting deep into whatever thoughts, dreams, nightmares you may have. And these guys would stay out there for like a year or more. And it wasn't a very fast boat, back then, rowing their way out there 20 some miles out to sea. Yeah, crazy, but a fun part of the world if you get the chance. Hi there, Tushy61. Whatever. Does that mean there are 60 other people with that same name? Interesting. Okay. I know Missy has the Zoomy information, so I'm assuming when we don't see anything, it's because she's not seeing anything. And as soon as that thing fires up, I am going to... There it is. It looks like what is that? Is that the Zoom address? Is that a letter? Looks like a letter. Yeah, as soon as this thing fires up, I'm going to go. I'll be listening in, but I'm going to go to Plymouth Rock. I'm going to go wander around, have a lobster roll maybe. Dizzy said, did I miss the hearing? No, you did not. Okay, this is now we're getting into whole geography lessons. Oh, here's one I haven't been to. Judge Doolin, Ireland. Where's Judge Doolin, Ireland? What part of the island is that on? I have not heard of that one. There used to be, when I went to Dublin, there used to be a bar there called Bryant's Tavern, because I am half Irish, half English, French. I'm three halves, and so that was kind of cool to go into a tavern with the family name on it. They would not give me anything free though. Okay. Just cruising. I'm just cruising through some of these notes. Don't bother me. Wait. Oh, here we go. I don't know about that. Hold on. I don't know about that. Really, I see you. Plymouth Rock like Mona Lisa. Disappointing. So tiny. I'll tell you, because I don't even trust the Plymouth Rock theory. I don't even know if it's the rock. At least I knew when I saw the Mona Lisa. We just did that about a year ago. Yeah, it's small. You expect it after having seen everything you see, but at least it's art. Somebody painted it. This is a rock. So, okay. Court is saying no live streaming of the hearing. Law and Crime took their feed down. What the hell? Scott, aren't you in charge of this operation? Oh my gosh. So it's on Zoom, but they took the feed down. That is bullshit. He's throwing Latin around so early in the afternoon. That is ridiculous. I wonder if they were overwhelmed with people reaching out on the Zoom conference. By the way, the Zoom conference details, the ID is 161-775-5517. And the URL is zoomgov.com/J/161-775-5517. Yeah, that is ridiculous. No passcode required to join the meeting. Huh. Well, is it a wonder that I don't trust the government? Is it really a wonder? Okay, then. I guess I'm going to go have a lobster roll and maybe go see the Plymouth Pebble. See how that's looking. I appreciate everybody popping in just for something to do. This is the building. Here it is. When we see this case continue, as it will at some point, this is it. And you could say you were here. So, Missy, thank you. I appreciate you checking on that and giving us an update. We will circle back. I don't know what we're going to do now, so we won't show any video. But tonight, we'll figure out what's going on in this hearing. We'll do an update on that. 6 o'clock, Linda Kenny Baden and I will be back together. I don't know where I'm going to be. Somewhere, either in this area or back in the studio. Haven't quite figured that out yet. But yeah, Lisa Van Sykett, you're right. You're absolutely right. The more I talk about it, the more I agree that where did that go? There it is. Lobster roll sounds pretty good. I love a good lobster roll. The key, though, give me some lobster in there because, sometimes they got a lot of goop to fill in for lobster. No, come on. All right. I'm going to leave it right there and see you tonight at 6 o'clock from somewhere. As always, thank you for joining. I am Michael Bryant. This is Justice Served TV, and please try to do the right.